Cool. And we are live. So we are back. This is our second live stream. It was our first, but then we ended it and we started it back. And we started it back because I was going to live stream to both of my channels. So I've got a long form dedicated and a short form dedicated. Because when I was doing research on launching YouTube, it suggested that we totally separate it. So we did. And my long form channel, because this is streaming on my short form channel only right now, my long form channel, I had to request streaming access. And so I can stream in 24 hours. And so that is that. But we are here and we are ready to live stream. So we're live streaming. And so, I don't know, man. This is just what we're doing. We're live streaming. We got dog. She's snoozing because it's 1:50 in the morning. Like, what are we going to do? And then, I don't know, guys. I'm pretty awake. I'm pretty pumped and ready to go, right? So who knows? But if you pop in, leave a comment, right? Can we, let's see, right? Let's see what's going on. Let's see. Let's pop on in here. Cool. I'm good with that. Yeah. We've got the Rubik's Cube. We can solve the Rubik's Cube on video. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Solving the Rubik's Cube. Or y'all can join me and I'll just work on the computer while I live stream. And when somebody pops in, they can leave a comment. And I'll just sit here, do my thing. And then you leave a comment and then I engage with you. And that is how we can rock and roll. We'll see though. We'll see. I don't know. That seems kind of boring, right? That's boring. We don't want boring. Bad. Boring is bad. 5 viewers. Somebody leave a comment. Somebody engage. Somebody say something. So that I'm not just sitting here talking to myself at 1:52 in the morning. Because that's no fun, right? Somebody engage. Also, what are you doing up at 1:52 in the morning? Why is anybody up at 1:52 in the morning? $30 people. There's 30 people watching this and nobody's leaving a comment. Am I wrong? Am I wrong that nobody's leaving a comment? I don't see a comment. Guys, somebody should leave a comment. We're all up at 1:53 in the morning. Somebody should leave a comment. Maybe I'm just oblivious. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't think I'm doing it wrong. I think you guys are doing it wrong. Hey, there we go. There's a comment. Okay, cool. So we can see comments. Dope. 2 comments. I can even highlight your comments, guys, because we're fancy. We're doing it on StreamYard. So we're super fancy. I appreciate you guys commenting. Hello, hello, hello. Where are you commenting from? I am in Southwest Florida, so it is late at night and very warm. And so I'm excited that it is no longer winter because there's a couple weeks down here where it was not great. There's a couple weeks down here where it was in the 40s and 50s. And even on the East Coast, it hit 33 degrees and it was miserable. Colored text moving up in the world. Moving up in the digital world. Did you see colored text? Because I did not see colored text. I don't even know what that is. Is that I have no idea what that is, but it's cool and exciting. What what's everybody doing right now? What time is it where you're at? That might be a better question than like where are you coming in from? What time is it where you're at? Is it the butt crack of dawn where you are? I had these, I was talking about this earlier, but basically I was in my bed scrolling on my phone as a YouTube user and was on, okay, cool. So it's same time zone. And I just popped onto these people's live streams and I was like, dope, I should do that too. And so here we are in the very first live stream, practicing live streaming. We're going to make this a regular thing. It's going to be a thing. I don't know how many people are going to want to sit here and like watch me live stream late at night, but I'm going to make it a regular thing. I can at least watch myself live stream late at night. But if you guys interact, it definitely makes it like way more interesting, right? And so if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions because I'm not that good at asking questions right now. I feel like I'm just talking to myself and 18 people, whoever you 18 people are. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you guys and gals and everybody out there. We dropped to 15, but I still appreciate every single one of you. You've stuck around for so long, which is super cool. Super cool. But if you don't engage back, if you don't comment, if you don't ask me questions, there's just going to be these awkward silences, right? There's not much to say. So what do we say? Do I walk through the steps of how to solve a Rubik's Cube? I could tell you guys how I learned to solve a Rubik's Cube. This will be good. And then we can clip it because it's all about the clips, right? We have to clip it for like the gram and YouTube shorts and TikTok, which I don't even use. So I will tell you about my time as a teenager to the 4 people who are still left. When I was a teenager, I was 15 years old. So I'm currently 31. I was 15 years old and I got sent to a therapeutic boarding school. So if you have Netflix and you've ever watched, I'm going to have to look it up because I don't know the name of that Netflix documentary. Netflix doc on therapeutic boarding school. Cons, cults, and kidnapping exposes the troubled teens. Okay, so the program, Cons, Cults, and Kidnapping. I went to one of these places in Texas. So that's where I learned to do a Rubik's Cube. So we were not allowed to have much, especially early on in the program. I was there for 14 months. It was advertised as a 9 to 12 month program. When I got there, obviously boys and girls were separated. I had to wear white t-shirt. Girls had to wear gray t-shirts in the beginning. And it was crazy, guys. It was absolutely insane. So this place, we had to wear orange jumpsuits when we got in trouble and work community service hours on property. So it was like this big 125 acre property. And we would have to, is that a cat? It is not a cat. It is a dog. No. This is Nala. She's a Dutch Shepherd. She's a cool dog. Cups. Good girl. So, dog, not a cat. I am not a cat person. Definitely not a cat person. Have had cats in the past, often, but definitely not a cat person. I'm so a dog person. And I am a dog person to the point of I will never, ever have a dog that's not as well trained as this dog. She understands everything. And it's like she's a robot. The guy that trained her for me, the guy I bought her from, says she's not a robot, but she acts like a robot. And so that's the type of pet owner that I am. That's the type of like dog person that I am. I really just like her to like be very aloof. So maybe I am a cat person, but I don't have cats. I like the fact that my dog is aloof and kind of does her own thing and also listens almost like bulletproof. But anyway, so back to the story. We are talking about the program Cons, Cults, and Kidnapping. And so we had to wear orange jumpsuits when we were at this place, working community service. And so let me give you an example. We would like say a cuss word, and good to getting back to the story, good to like I'm not a cat person, good that she's trained, more context. But the story, I'm gonna get really distracted with the comments. Like, we just gotta work on being straight down the story. So when, like, if I cussed, 4 hours. If I left a bath towel on the floor, 8 hours. If we got caught smoking cigarettes, like 8 hours your first offense, something like your second offense, then restriction and restriction. So mind you, when you get assigned these hours, we called them hours, you would get assigned hours and you would have to, it is a Christian school. Well, a Christian school. It sure is, yeah. And so, yeah, so a Christian therapeutic boarding school. And I don't think they do the orange jumpsuits anymore. So when I was there, one of the guys that was there with me, he committed suicide. And a lot of things changed while that happened. So the state came in, kind of redid everything, and they got rid of orange jumpsuits after that. And so not like, yeah, super messed up place. So anyway, I learned how to do a Rubik's Cube there in like my first couple of weeks. We didn't have very, very many privileges. And so I had a Rubik's Cube with me that I got to bring with me. And I had a book called Speed Solving the Cube. And I did not make friends in this place early on very well. And I keep messing up this corner. I'm distracted telling my story. And a lot of cult-like crap. Yes, 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 indeed. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm a member of this Facebook group that a bunch of us that went to this place are part of. Hello. Oh, I forget, guys. I forget to show your comments. I'm not good at this. We got to get better. It's a learning experience. There's going to be a growing curve, a growth curve. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't even remember where I was in the story. Very bad at storytelling on the live stream. There's so much to focus on. There's so much to focus on right now. But, oops. I was going to say we solved it, but then it wasn't solved. But we did. We solved it. What do you like about the videos? Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I was really confused. I was like, I know I haven't been on here for an hour, but the time just changed. So when we went from like 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., it's now 3 a.m., which is super cool. But yeah, so we read a lot, didn't have a lot of privileges, and I read a book on speed solving the cube. And so now we can not speed solve it because I didn't take the time to learn all the speed solving algorithms. I just pulled my son from a school. I didn't know they were teaching certain things, private Christian school. That you have a dog. I mean, they certainly don't have to. They can. It's an option. People do it. I saw a guy earlier that he was getting money to chug beers. We're not going to chug beers. So if you've got a better idea on what people can pay money for, I'm all ears. I'm open to opportunity. But yeah, so schools are crazy. People are also crazy, like teaching people's kids like whatever they want. But this place was extra crazy. So I was a troubled teen. This is how they advertise this place. It's a therapeutic Christian boarding school for troubled teens. And I got transported. So in that documentary that I was talking about on Netflix called, I keep forgetting it. I've watched it. It's whack. It's called The Program, Cons, Cults, and Kidnapping. So the kidnapping part, how does the kidnapping part like fit into a boarding school? And so I got transported so like mom and dad are like, set this thing up. and then they hire transport agents to come kidnap you in the middle of the night. So they come in, they get you, and they take you. Thank God, I guess, that my mom had like the wherewithal to be like, no, but she still had me transported. So they just transported me during the day. Normally they try and get you at like 3 or 4 in the morning so that it's like the most surprising and that there's not a lot going on. But like I said, thank God that mom was at least like, you're not going to get him in the middle of the night. So they got me in the middle of the day. And it was still super weird. And I had no idea what was going on. I grew up in South Carolina. This place is in Texas. So that's like a 16-hour drive. I have no idea what's going on for the entire time. Oh, it's so traumatic. It gets so much worse. So um like I have no idea what's going on. At first I think I'm being kidnapped, like literally, and which is why it's in the freaking title of the like Netflix documentary. So for like 6, 8 hours until we get to Louisiana, I'm convinced that I'm being kidnapped by like the strangest kidnapping ever. Because they told my parents to shut up and get out of the car. They gave me really strict instructions on, okay, like this is like the transport agents, Tim and Amanda. And Tim did all the talking. So Tim got in on one side, Amanda got in on the other side. I'm in the back seat of my dad's King Ranch truck. And they tell my parents, like, shut up and get out. My parents get out. They run, like, we're in a bank parking lot and they run behind the bank. And I'm like, this is super weird. Super weird. Like, I'm 15. Things are just like not computing. And so Tim and Amanda get in the car and like Tim shows me his badge. And I'm like, dude, you're bigger and like stronger than me. So like, I'm not super worried about a badge at this point. I'm not going to run. And so they go through the spiel. They've got a little like a Dodge Durango parked beside us. And they're like, okay, Amanda's going to get out. You're going to follow Amanda. I'm going to hold on to your belt loop. And you're going to like, she's going to get in the car first. You're going to get in and go to the third row. She's going to sit in the second row and I'm going to drive. I have handcuffs and pepper spray. And if you try and run, I'll get you. And that was kind of it. And then we didn't stop. So like we're in like Columbia, South Carolina, basically. And we drive from Columbia on I-20 towards Texas. Don't know we're going to Texas. They're just like, we're going. Cool. Dope. And we stop around Atlanta and use the bathroom, which is also super weird. And they like go into the bath. So like not Amanda, but this time just like Tim. So Tim gives me the spiel. We go into the gas station. He checks it for things, like has to like go into the stall with me. It's super weird. And yeah, it's whatever. So we get all the way to Dallas and then we're in a hotel for 4 nights and 5 days. And I have no idea what's going on. This thing is like, obviously like very expensive and everything's like a la carte. And they are also like catering to like my every need, but also not catering to my needs. It's like, oh, what do you want? This was before like DoorDash and stuff like that. So they would go get me like any food, any soda, any movies, I guess to try and like keep everything nice and calm. But then also it's like, it was crazy. It was crazy. So I'm there for like 4 nights, 5 days in a Hampton Inn in Dallas, Texas. And then they're like, cool, man. We're no longer in a holding situation. And so we get back on I-20 and drive the other direction. We're driving back to whence we came. And we go to this place in Hallsville, Texas. And about 30 minutes before we get to the school, they pull over and they're like, this is typically where it gets very bad. And I had been like the model transportee. I did not try to escape once. I followed every single rule because, again, like here we are. I'm a rule follower. Not really. I'm not a rule follower. But so anyway, they're like, cool, all the privileges you've earned this week, gone. So they child lock the windows, like all that stuff again. And then we get back in the car and they hand me an envelope and they're like, read this. And so it's like this big old like thing with lots of papers. And I pull out the first packet and it's like the like marketing packet. And so I read it and it says 9 to 12 months. And I instantly start crying. I'm like, this is bad. Because I still have no idea what's going on. Like, I'm not kidnapped anymore. Like, I'm aware of that. Because kidnappers, I never said that part of the story. Kidnappers don't pack a suitcase. And so as I was trying to stay awake in the car from South Carolina to Texas, that's wild. And to think these places use the name of God. I'm in Southwest Florida, and I'm so sorry I sent my son to this Christian private school. Thanks for sharing your experience. Wild. I am also in Southwest Florida. Do I wonder where in Southwest Florida you are? I am in, yeah, yeah, I'm in Southwest Florida. Anyway, um, oof, oof. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy. Sarasota. Okay, you're north of me. I'm in Cape Coral. So I bounce around like Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Naples, but I enjoy it down here. I like it down here a lot. I'm new to Florida, so I came to Florida and I've been in Florida about a year. So I was in Florida, moved to Florida February of 2025, moved to Orlando, and then in April, Mayish, moved down to Southwest Florida, and I like it. I like it a lot. I also like South Florida, so we'll see how long it takes for me to end up over there. But um, yeah, it's bananas. It is so bananas. But the craziest part of this story so far has not come up yet. So I'm reading this package and like just like crying. I'm 15 years old, like I'm being sent away. It's so obvious from like just the heading on this packet. And I start going through it and like they try to make it sound cool. It's got like wakeboarding and paintball and horses and all this stuff. And like, okay, that stuff is kind of cool. But then I start pulling out letters. Like it's a letter from my mom. It's a letter from my dad. It's a letter from the pastor. It's a letter from my mom's parents. It's a letter from my grandma. It's a letter from my grandpa. It's a letter from my other grandma, my other grandpa, like everybody, just all of my parents' friends. And it's got these really like deep secrets that I've like only talked about in therapy. And obviously, like I'm 15, so therapist tells everything to like mom and dad. But it's got like these things that I don't even want mom and dad to know, but I definitely don't want mom and dad's friends to know. And it's like in these letters about like, oh, you will get healed, like whatever, like the stereotypical, like obviously, like I'm summarizing. It's been a very long time. I obviously don't have those letters anymore, but like, yeah, it's ridiculous. So those 30 minutes, I'm like, yeah, I see why this goes bad at this point. And then we get there and I see my dad's truck like sitting onto the property. And I'm like, there's no way. But then also like, it's a very unique truck, like the color, the size, like everything on it. Like, I'm just like, not that many people drive this truck. It's definitely his truck. And that made me so angry. It made me so angry because for the past week, I've been in a hotel with strangers, literally having no context to anything until we got 30 minutes away. So yeah, not my favorite experience in the world. And then I was there for 14 months because I followed the rules. Like, I mean, just like dotting my I's, crossing my T's. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. And what I was going to say about the Facebook group is the Facebook group that I'm in, I guess it serves like multiple functions, but one of the functions is we can actually talk to parents that are considering sending their children to places like this. And so like if it resonates, like it's an opportunity to reach out and be like, hey, like here's what happened. I went here. The relationship with mom and dad has never been the same. It's that like it's a big violation of trust. I mean, I'm not entirely sure the best way to handle it. The way that I try to explain it to people, I've got a good relationship with mom and dad. Like I said, 16 years ago, it was a long time ago. But the biggest thing in that is I relate it to dog like a lot. So her name's Nala, but I call her dog. And yeah, it's not great. Also, this is whack. So I went to a conference last February in Dallas. And in this, the keynote speaker was what is his name? He's like, he played in the NFL, little dude. He was a free safety, like that, like little scrawny, skinny dude, not who plays free safety. Um, and what is his name? Anyway, he's public speaker now, keynote speaker. That's what he does, and he basically like is the branding guy of storytelling. Like that's what he does now. That's the service that he sells to people is how to like brand your story. And it was super cool. Like I was like, oh dope, dude. And he was really good at storytelling, like just super captivating, very engaging. And so obviously at the end, as most people do, they pitch their product. And the product pitch was like his 3-day seminar at this theater that he's co-owner at in like California and LA. Super cool. But in the marketing video is the owner of the program I went to as one of the clients. And I'm like, dude, that just like that's the writing on the wall. Like he's so good at like branding himself, like the guy that owns the place I went to. Wow, yeah, is like okay. So like obviously, like I'm not my parents, and it was my experience as a child, and like whatever. But it was so back to the manipulative part. We, I got 30 minutes a week on the phone. It was a landline with my parents. Eventually, that turned into an hour. But in the beginning, it was just 30 minutes. And that was the standard. Like, I got the exception to get an hour. Like, I found a lot of value in talking to my parents. But if I tried to tell them anything negative about the program whatsoever, they were instructed that I was lying and to hang up on me because I was trying to manipulate them to pull me out of the program. So anything that I said negative about this place was a manipulation tactic to get them to remove me. Even though there was like objectively some like not great things happening at this place. Um, so like they just wouldn't listen. I would just be like, hey guys, here's what's going on. Click. We'll talk to you next week. Click. And like that sucks. But yeah, it was a crazy place. And like I don't even know. Like pointed questions are good. If you've got questions, I've got answers. I was there for 14 months. But in the beginning, I followed the rules because like there's so many things, so many things. So, dog's a difficult dog. She's a Dutch Shepherd. She's a really cool dog. I've mentioned that she is exceptionally well trained, exceptionally well behaved, but she's very independent, very stubborn, very aloof, and very much like a cat. Um, Typing and writing is too long sometimes. Like the easiest way for sure is to talk, or the most, not the easiest, but the most efficient. Um, it is for sure, so much manipulation and control, and it sucks. And it really sucks to like be a minor in that situation. It's how do you handle it? How do you deal with it? Like you kind of don't. You just accept it, and it doesn't create good patterns moving forward because now you're just like I can't do anything, and so you just kind of accept it when other people do things. Yeah, yeah. So like I said, I'm not entirely sure like how I would suggest my parents handle it if they were in like if I could go back in time and counsel them on how to deal with it. I don't know. I don't know. But this place wasn't great, that's for sure. And yeah, it is awful. It's tough. And I think there's like yeah, I think that's important. The unconditional love. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's crazy. Like the whole, just like the memories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I think mom and dad were like ultimately unprepared or ill prepared to deal with my personality. Similar to like dog, very like willful. Dog is very, very willful, very independent. It's the nature of the beast. It's the breed, and an experienced handler versus an inexperienced handler handles dog very, very differently. Um, so it's like that. Just saying a whole lot. You got me going down memory lane. Sorry, I'm reading your comment. Yeah. I've changed my phone numbers a couple times throughout the years. The last time I changed my phone number was in 2019. So we've had the same old phone number for about 7 years now. If I change it, I'm gonna change it to a Miami area code. I think that's where my heart is. I think that's where my heart belongs, is on that side of Florida. I like it. I like it here. I like it so much where I'm at, but I go over there almost every weekend, and I enjoy it. It's way busier than over here. I like the speed, the pace, and just kind of the not hustle and bustle, especially where I'm at. I like that everything where I'm at is very like gridded out. Like all the turns are right angles. Like it's obviously well planned. And then over there, it's like not, and it's chaos and way more traffic, and it needs to be better planned. But I like it over there. I like it over there. But yeah, so the therapeutic boarding school is crazy, and it's tough. So I don't know, man. I've been in therapy. So like my parents sent me to therapy when I was 8 years old, and I maintained therapy every single week until after I moved out of the house. And I'm not sure that helped. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure like what the right prescription is, like, or would have been growing up. Like how do you make the right decision, right? Like it's like I was the oldest kid. They never dealt with that before, right? And I had a very like willful personality, of course. And that's difficult, right? It's like mom, super, super like I read a book recently. I read a lot of books, guys. So I'm on like book number 13 of this year, and I haven't touched a book in like 2 weeks. So like we read a lot. Now, this book by Robert Greene, I read like four or five of his books like back to back to back to back. So I'm not entirely sure where this one comes from, but that tends to be how I read. I will read like maybe all of the books from the same author, like Patrick Lencioni or however you say his name. He has a bunch of books on like workplace environments, and read one, loved it. I read like eight of his books in a row. So Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power, read his books, like read that one, loved it. Was like, cool, man, gonna read all of them. Haven't read all of them, but I've read, like I said, four or five of them. And it talks about where self-esteem comes from. And self-esteem is definitely something I struggled with a ton, a ton, a ton, a ton. And so obviously I'm interested in that. And he talks about how when the smackdown comes from mom and dad, it crushes our self-esteem. And that happens typically around the age of like 3, 4, 5, when we start to develop like late stages of individuation. So like individuation starts at like 1 or 2, and then object permanence, this like theory of mind, that all starts to develop around 3, 4, 5. And that's when our self-esteem is supposed to start to develop. And so we start to look like we start to exist outward, but we have to rely on that internal sense of self. And as we start to explore that internal sense of self, it's coming from the strongest characteristics of the caretaker. So, strongest characteristics of mom, strongest characteristics of dad. Well, mom is the strongest characteristic of my parents. And so, all of her strong character traits, all of her attributes, I'm mimicking them. And then she's like smack down. Like she's very willful. I'm super willful. And so we just butt heads forever. And to this day, to maintain a working relationship with her, I have to be exceptionally apathetic almost. I can still like emotionally engage, but it has to be very like targeted, and it has to be very surface level. It has to be very like, again, like very surgical. It just has to be intentional. So like I have to make sure I stay like very far away from any topics of conviction. Because if like she doesn't back down, I don't back down. So it's just something that I probably learned a little too late. Definitely learned too little too late, because I shared this on. I've got two YouTube channels, so I've got my short form and my long form. I don't think I shared it on this one, but I worked for my family's company for like the first 6 years out of college, and my mother fired me. And had I not been so willful and I learned that lesson of like being very intentional about the conversations I have with her, we would probably be in a very different situation now, a very different situation. So what a life. What a life to get fired by mom. What a story, right? Um, thanks. I appreciate that. Yes. Wow. Okay. It's crazy, right? Yeah. Um, it took a long time to heal from that. From all of it. From all of it. It's like it's. I mentioned this in the video. It's a long video. It's like not super well done. We're new to YouTube. We're figuring it out. It's a trial and error thing. But the the relationship with mom and dad was just like tough. It was tough growing up, and it continued to be tough. And just kind of the way the like cookie crumbled, the way the like chips fell, it needed to not happen the way it happened, and so it resulted in disaster, disaster. But where we're at now, so we're here, and we're loving it. And I am exceptionally grateful for where my life is at now. If you would have asked me a year ago, not sure I would have had a lot of hope or suspected that I would make that statement. But um, I would not be where I am today if all of the very, very, very hard, very difficult, um, life altering things did not happen, including the boarding school and everything that transpired last year. So we last year we lost everything. We lost all the money. We lost My wife left. I lost custody of my children and so much more. So it was a rough year. It was a good year for growth. It forced a lot of yeah, for sure it made me stronger. It forced a couple things. It forced was the some introspection. I had to like start to look in and start to develop that sense of self, right? And because I couldn't rely, like I didn't have anybody else to rely on. I was no longer married. I didn't have mom and dad. Didn't have kids. Also, like not a great like I see people do that all the time where they like rely on their children for the emotional support. Very against that. Yeah, I definitely don't mind you asking. I am 31 years old, so turned 31 this year. So rocking and rolling in the 30s. How old do I look? How old do you think I am? I mean, you know now, but how old would you have thought I was? Um, but yeah, it's a crazy life. It is a crazy life. But I have to it's always about skill acquisition, right? It's like, how can we be better than we are right now? And what I have to do is I have to get better at sticking to the story when comments come up in these live streams because I'm so distracted. Okay, so you think I look 25? That's cool. That's a compliment. I appreciate that. What about it? Is it the glowing skin because that's just oil and the light's shining like directly on me? Um, yeah. What do you think? What do you think makes me look 25? Because I've definitely got some wrinkles, and which I'm totally good with. I think it's ridiculous when people are like, "Oh my goodness, I'm getting so old," or they'll say like, "Brandon, you're getting old. Like you've got wrinkles, man." Or like you're an old man. And it's like, come on, I am. Like, it's better. It's so cliche, but it's so much better than the alternative. So much better than the alternative, right? Like, it's part of life. I seem young. Okay. So I seem young. I assume that means I seem younger than my actual age. So if I'm 31 and I seem young, what about it? Is it like physical, emotional? Like what is um Well, I appreciate that. I'm not sure how wise I actually speak. I wouldn't say the options now are endless, but we've definitely acquired some skills. And some of those skills are just like the presence of mind to exist. Y'all have no idea how anxious of a human being I used to be to just put myself out in public. And in so in getting fired, I so mom and like mom fired me, right? So in getting fired, I realized my facial structure and my build is that of 25. So I carry like almost no fat in my face compared to the rest of my body. And so my cheeks and my jawbone look very distinct a lot compared to like the rest of my body. Tangent. But when I got fired, when mom fired me, I realized that I had no marketable skills. Well, I did, but I couldn't market myself. So I had these really high level skills, but I didn't have these basic skills. And I didn't know what they were at the time. And I was like, what is the problem? What's the issue? Like, obviously, this is a major issue that I can't just go out and get a job. Like, I performed really high level tasks at this company, but I can't market myself. Like, I have no marketable skills on paper. And that's an issue. And so, how do I like go about solving the problem? First, I have to figure out what the skills are. Like, I've got these level, at first, I started thinking of it like I've got these level 8, 9, and 10 skill sets, but I don't have level 1 skills. And that's obvious through like my interactions with people and just like the way I carried myself. But I wasn't really sure how we would define these skills. And so I started thinking, well, I was like, well, I'm really bad at like talking to people. So it's like, let's get a sales job. And like that was scary and miserable and outbound dialing and getting cussed at and being like, oh, like, hey Sue, hey Sue, it's just Brandon. Like, oh, that was miserable. But it's a really good experience. It's a really good learning experience because you have to push through. You have to pick the phone back up. Even if you're on like an auto dialer, you still have to pick the phone back up and talk to people and get cussed out again and again and again and again. And now you're working for somebody, so you can't cuss them out back. You can't yell at, like, you can't be like, shut up, you're just a grumpy person. Like, I mean, we could be way meaner because they were way meaner. But my point is, like, you don't yell back at these people because now you're working for somebody, right? And so that skill, and then the emotional regulation, obviously, through everything that I've talked about here, just the inability to regulate my own emotions. So, like, my ability to communicate and interact with people was a skill that I lacked. My ability to regulate like my own internal state of being was a skill that I lacked. And then I have lost 84 pounds in the past like 11 months. So I was 257 pounds in March of 2025. And then on April 14th, I believe it was April 14th, one of my friends in Naples actually invited me to the gym. And kind of the rest is history. Here we are. And so it does build endurance for sure. But yeah, so it was like the whole the entire process has been a journey, and we've just been getting like better and better the whole time. And it's definitely not over. So the opportunities are not endless at this point. The options are not endless, but they are far better than they were. And even if they weren't, again, the like internal state, the internal being is such a big driver and deciding factor in the day to day. Hello, kiddo. I don't know how I feel about that. Regulate my internal state of being. Nah, kiddo's fine. All things are fine. So sometimes I've been putting myself out there on like social media lately, and this is the first time I've live streamed. So like I appreciate all you guys sticking around and like engaging with me. But we've been trying to rock and roll on like reels and shorts and all that stuff. And some people are mean, especially like late at night. There's some really mean people, and they leave. I'm not sure if they like are like drinking a little too much when they like leave these comments or forgot to take their pills or whatever, right? Or just like they're grumpy people. But I always like play with them. I always like engage back and like poke the bear a little bit, because engagement's engagement, right? And a lot of times these people will like apologize like after the fact. Like 8 hours later, they'll be like, I was really mean last night, or like I gave you too hard of a time, or like they'll like make fun of the hair, or like the like man bun, ponytail, whatever. And I'm like, dude, like it's all fair. Like I'm not gonna get like butt hurt. I'm not gonna get my feelings hurt. It's the internet. All is fair on the internet. If you put yourself out there and expect to like be treated like a princess, like where like that's fantasy. That's fantasy land. Um, but it's also okay. Like again, like it is what it is, right? Like people's inability to regulate themselves, conviction. I lacked conviction. I don't know exactly like what you're referring to in terms of like the context of this conversation, but man, I lacked conviction for sure. That was a huge, huge gap in like my skill. Um, Not just like conviction, but even like the belief. So I talked about this recently about how like self efficacy is an issue as an adult, but it stemmed from like self esteem as a child. So in those early years, the formative years of childhood development, from individuation to object permanence, theory of mind, all of that, as your self esteem starts to develop and you start mimicking mom and dad are insecure. So they lay the smack down on those behaviors and they're like, no, you can't be independent. No, this, no, that. And so your self esteem gets crushed. As that starts to happen and you start to have to navigate the world as you get older, now that self-esteem issue becomes a practical issue and it's now a self-efficacy issue. So now not only do you not exist, like you don't have a strong internal beacon, because you don't have a strong internal beacon, you can't navigate the world, you can't function in society. And so now that dysfunction is a really negative positive feedback loop. So it's a positive feedback loop, but it's a negative, it's in the negative direction, right? And that feedback loop starts to eat away at your self esteem, because, like, now you're like, oh man, I can't do this. I am a really crappy person. I am worthless. I don't deserve to live, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever the case may be, whatever you're telling yourself on the inside, like that starts to reinforce your inability to perform. And so now you've got this really nasty cycle of self esteem feeding lack of self efficacy, and your lack of self efficacy feeding the like just destroying and deteriorating your self esteem. And because of that, not only did I have no conviction, I had no like I had no sense of self. I didn't know what I believed. I wouldn't speak. Like even unless I was without a doubt the most competent human being in the room, I wouldn't share my opinion. I just wouldn't. It wouldn't matter. Like even if the like somebody was asking like, hey man, what do you think about this, I'd be like, oh, I think it's a good idea, right? Like I would not share my opinion. um oh, okay, so totally different than like the conviction I was talking about. Yes, yes, they feel convicted afterwards. Yes, I agree. But yeah, the self-efficacy self-esteem cycle is rough. And yeah, so we had to rebuild the self-efficacy, and I talk to people a lot about that, about how the way we do that is stacking small wins. And so something as simple as like, hey man, I'm just going to drink a glass of water before I eat my meal. If like eating overeating is an issue, right? Instead of restricting food, why don't we like increase things that are calorie-less at mealtime to encourage the fullness, right? And so we'll just start super small. Oh man, you drank a glass of water at every meal for the past week. That is amazing. And you need to learn to celebrate that one as well. It doesn't just need to come from me, but like you need to learn to pat yourself on the back and be like, wow, that's better than last week. Like step in the right direction. Heck yeah. I can see that change is possible, right? Um, because we have to like rebuild that self efficacy in order to start to like rebuild that self esteem. We have to like reverse engineer, right? So it's hard to build the self esteem if the environment isn't matching, right? Like, how hard would it be to change your entire internal state in disaster and chaos? Like, most people can't even do it in like a normal life, let alone just complete and utter disaster and chaos. And so, um, we have to create the environment to have the guardrails that are like in line and in direction with our goals, That way, the environment is just like reinforcing the new belief system, right? It starts with belief, but then belief is also like the last step of the cycle. And so we have to be really intentional about designing our environment to reinforce the beliefs that we're after, not the beliefs that are currently installed. We have to upgrade the like CPU, the software, and that's a really, really hard thing to do, especially when it's been ingrained for so long and at such a young age, right? So the self-esteem thing, if Robert Greene in his book is to be believed, and he's referencing some of the greats like Erickson and Michelson, and he references Freud like here and there. One could argue that like maybe he's not so great, but anyway. Um, so but if it's to be believed that self-esteem develops in those younger years, then the self-esteem issue has existed like almost my entire life, right? And almost everybody's entire life. If self-esteem gets smacked, gets crushed when you're 2, 3, 4 years old, like you've never had a self-esteem to begin with. And so, like, how do you rewrite your entire history? How do you rewrite life? And it's hard, and it's no wonder people don't change. Like people get stuck and they stay stuck, right? Um, you gotta you gotta figure it out, man. Hmm. Like rewiring. That's exactly what it is. It is exactly rewiring the brain. Um, and it's hard, but it's like so I really like I'm a huge fan of like visualizing things. I visualize things well, and so I really resonate with it. One of the things that somebody explained to me one time was how remapping your brain, and actually I so 4 of the books I've read this year are on NLP, neuro linguistic programming. And so it was not what I thought it was. I thought it was something, and then I read the book on it, and I was like, this is amazing. I love it. Not what I thought it was, but I love it. So then I read 3 more books. And it is, in essence, remapping your mind, but not your like physical brain. So not your brain, but your mind as kind of um the perception of kind of how your brain works. So like your brain has like physiological functions, chemical functions, etc. But then your mind is this representation of how it works. And yeah, the mind's eye, for sure. And so remapping NLP is all about like how can we take these modalities, which are your senses, your 5 senses, and then the submodalities of like these boundaries on the senses. So for an example, like visualization is a big thing in NLP. And so when I visualize memories, all right, are they still pictures or are they motion pictures? Are they in black and white? Are they in color? Are they fully saturated? Are they like not fully saturated? Is there an outline on it? Is it a black outline? Is it a blue outline? Is it in first person experience? Is it in third person experience? All of those are examples of submodalities. And once we start to be very aware of those, we can actually change those submodalities. So, for instance, something that I have found that works really well for me is if I am experiencing like a negative emotion and it's tied directly to like a memory, like a recent memory, like just something bad in my day happens. What I have found is super helpful is I will picture it in my mind and I will shrink it down to the size of a crumb, and then you shrink it down even smaller. And then I take my left hand and I physically throw it away. And it really changes the experience of my internal state. So like I can feel it like a light switch. Some other good examples of like the light switch thing. It's super cool how your brain works. When I was in Costa Rica and we were like studying abroad, I was there for like a month, and 2 weeks in, it's like a light switch of just like fluent. Like it wasn't like, oh, I understand most. It was like, I mean, like, trust me, I've like studied Spanish pretty extensively at this point, but I remember exactly where it was. It was just like, boom, understood the entirety of every word this man was saying. And it was a really weird experience. But that's a similar experience to like the NLP thing of like when I go through some of these like practices and the emotion, it's just like you can feel it. It's just like, boom, totally different. And so remapping the mind. But back to what I was going to say originally is remapping the mind. I really liked when somebody explained to me that remapping your brain is all about reps. So we've heard everybody talk about it, whether it's in the gym and sales or anything else. You just have to get more reps. You have to get more experience. And so think of it like you're driving a car through a field, right? Like a grassy field. So the first time you drive through it, like the grass will be bent over, but then by the next day, it'll be standing back up and you won't even be able to see where the tires went, right? But if you drive that path day in and day out, so 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, well, now some of the grass is going to have been like permanently removed because you drove over it so often, right? Wear and tear. And then if you continue to drive over it over and over and over again for years and years and years, you're going to have like these like makeshift roads because grass is just going to not have had the opportunity to grow there. And so you're going to have full like tread marks throughout the entire path. And then that gives you more time to not drive the path and it still be a visible path. But eventually, if you don't drive over it for long enough, the grass will grow right back and you'll never be able to tell. And so I really liked that visualization and representation of kind of like how the mind works. So I like that. But guys, I think that I'm about to call it a day, call it a night. I guess it's 4 in the morning almost because it's like daylight savings time. But we've also been going out at this for an hour. And so I appreciate everybody who has engaged and been around. And we're going to make this a regular thing. Maybe not at this time at night, but we're definitely going to make it a regular thing. So if you have like any ideas on how to make this more exciting, let's do it. Good night to you as well. And then, yeah, tune back in for the next time. So I am out of here.